What happens may be beyond us. How we respond to what happens is always within our grip or potential grasp. This week's Torah reading is called Yitro, and it finds itself in the center of the book of Exodus. We've passed the book of Genesis with all of its magnificent stories. The redemption has occurred, the sea has split, and now Jethro, who is Moses' father-in-law, comes to greet him, having heard, according to Rashi, about what has happened to the Jewish nation, the split sea, the defeating of the nefarious foe of the Israelite nation, Amalek. And he's come to say congratulations for all that has happened, but even more than that, according to Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kotsk, who says, the real reason why Jethro came was because he was filled with a sense of awe at what God had done for the Israelite nation, for his son-in-law Moses, for this entire people. Now, inside of this kernel of a comment is a magnificent idea that Jethro had the ability to be able to not only be moved by an event that happened, not only to be stirred by it emotionally, spiritually, but to have that remain inside of him, so much so that he traveled from his distant homeland to see Moses and to tell him how spiritually moved he was by the events that had transpired. You see, Jethro, unlike most of us, had the ability to be inspired by awe and then have that awe remain inside of him, changing him permanently and forever. Secondly, when Jethro came to the people and wanted to speak with Moses, Moses, having heard that Jethro was outside of the camp, remember, Jethro was a non-Jew and a pagan to boot. Moses came out of his tent, bowed down low before Jethro, and then kissed him. He didn't wait for Jethro to come to him, but he, Moses that is, showed his humility before Jethro by embracing him, asking him how he was, and filling him with goodness and love. The third and final instance that I want to share is that when Moses and the people of Israel have assembled at Mount Sinai, and God opens his anthropomorphic proverbial mouth before the nation, according to the legend that is attached to this, the word Torah has a numerical equivalent of 611. And as you know, there are 613 commandments found in the Bible. 611 corresponds to the number of commandments that Moses conveyed to the people of Israel after the revelation. 2, however, were heard by the people directly. Again, 2 and 611 leads to the total number of commandments issued by God's mouth. Moses, hearing God's word, conveyed it to the people. But first, the people had heard from God himself and accepted of their own heart and volition what God had wanted to give to them. God did not coerce the Jewish people. God did not demand that they accept his Torah. But God simply asked a question. Will you take this document and hold it to be your own? And the people said, Na'aseh v'nishma. Whatever it is that's contained in it, we accept it to be our own. In all three instances, we find the same concept, that we are the keepers of our own identity, that we have the ability to be able to accept or reject, that we have the ability to be able to integrate or to non-integrate, that destiny lies in our hands. God gives us great opportunities to be able to grow, to change, to become that which we are not yet. But it's in our hands to say yes or to say no, now, but always. Wishing you the ability to ascertain what is right from wrong, to have an accepting heart of those things that are good and enriching, and allow for permanent change and growth. Shabbat Shalom.